Thanks so much for coming on the show. This has been Truth on the Tracks. I'm Brandon Tuberville. We'll see you next week.
We take a fight, the corporate state, against all forms of control. We retaliate. We're not asking questions, we're making demands. Get out of my way, get off of my land. I wanna free all humanity. I don't wanna be a political prisoner. I wanna free all humanity. I don't wanna be a political prisoner. I wanna free all humanity. I don't wanna be a political prisoner. Your authority. We don't want to be an institutional commodity. We recognize the cracks in your facade. We don't believe in your patriarchal God. I want to free all humanity. I don't want to be a political prisoner. I want to free all humanity. I don't want to be a political prisoner. I want to free all humanity. I don't want to be a political prisoner. I want to free all humanity. I don't want to be another fucking prisoner. Amnesty is an inherently defeatist position to take, one that is contingent upon surrender in order for prisoners of war to be released.
Alrighty, we are here once again. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, folks, here on the Liberty Battles radio show right here on UCY.tv. I am your host, Alex Allen. I come at you live here on the Liberty Battles radio show every Monday and Friday at the same time, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time, again, right here on UCY and only here on UCY. The Monday night show is more of a gun talk show. We talk about firearms, firearms industry, gun news, gun related, just anything that has to do with guns. We pretty much cover here on the Monday show. The gun culture, guns in news, again, industry news, gun politics, all kinds of stuff related to guns here on the Monday show. And then the Friday show is more of an all-around, just a general political talk and news show where I talk about politics, news, culture, just everything on a much wider scale. Pretty much everything I write about, which if you followed any of my writing, I write about everything. I write on all sorts of different topics, so I talk about all kinds of stuff on the Friday show. But again, the Monday show is gun talk, and of course, that means tonight's gun talk because this is Monday, the 3rd day of March 2014. I cannot believe we're already in March of 2014. I mean, time is just going by way too fast for me. But on the same note, I mean, here we are in March, and we have snow on the ground. We have lots of snow on the ground. I was actually worried that I wouldn't be able to broadcast to you live this evening, because they were calling for a big ice storm, a big ice and snow, just a big old wintry mix that a lot of people have been seeing, here these last couple of days. They were calling for that yesterday to get here into the Ohio Valley area where I am located. If you don't know, I broadcast outside of Louisville, Kentucky. And the forecasters were calling for a big ice storm. Luckily, though, the major ice and a lot of the snow too kind of went south of where I am, and so we didn't get hit with a lot. Some people south of us got hit really hard, though. And so definitely sad that those people have to endure all this crap. But yeah, I was worried that we were going to get a bunch of ice, and my power was going to go out, my internet was going to go out, everything was going to go out, and I was going to be down. Wasn't going to be able to broadcast to you this evening, but here I am. So yeah, we're here. We're ready. And ready for this gun talk show tonight. Well, before we get into the show, I want to go over a few promotionals with you. Just I'd like to encourage you all to check out all my social media. First of all, you can check me out over on Facebook. If you haven't already, give this page a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Battles. Again, that's Facebook.com/Liberty Battles. That's my central page for this show and for all of my independent media work that I do, all my alternative media work that I do. That's the central page over there, Facebook.com/Liberty Battles. Again, the Liberty Battles Facebook page. You can go give that a like. I'd really appreciate it. I post some content over there, not as much as I probably should. I need to work on keeping it updated more often. I've tried to get some people to come on and as admins and stuff, but none of it's worked out yet. But I'm going to try to get some other admins on the page and hopefully post more content. Get more content posted over there soon. But you can also check out the Alternative Journalism Facebook page. I'm also an admin over there, Facebook.com/Alternative Journalism. I post a lot of my content over there. And then, of course, a bunch of other different, independent journalists, alternative media people. They post all kinds of, all kinds of great content over there. So, definitely go give that page a like. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter in a couple of different places, at ALN845 and at Liberty Battles. Those are my two Twitter accounts. The ALN845 account is more of a personal account, more of a just me basically. And then the Liberty Battles account is, I try to tweet out a lot of, I've been neglecting that account a lot here recently, but I'm gonna try to get back into the swing of things. Maybe even get an automated something or another going, so I don't have to even fool with it and I can keep it updated. But, the at Liberty Battles account, it's more of just links to news, articles, videos, just links to different stuff. And it's more of a direct news where again, as the other account is, more of my personal account. But I do tweet out all of my articles that I write on both of those accounts. And of course, if you don't already know, I am a writer for a couple of different places. I write occasionally for the antimedia.org. I also write for a website called Digital Journal. That's digitaljournal.com. And then I have my own sort of blog that I'm trying to develop into a more of a official news sort of website, and that is newculturalnarrative.blogspot.com. As of now, soon I'm going to be trying to take that blogspot part off, and I'm going to be registering the actual domain. But for now, it's newculturalnarrative.blogspot.com, and I occasionally post a blog or an article or something like that over there. So definitely go check that out. And I also post links to articles from other sources over there as well. So again, I encourage you to go check that out. Now, all of the promotionals aside, I believe that pretty much covers everything. It's Gun Talk Night. Again, it is Gun Talk Night. So welcome, gun enthusiasts. If you're listening to this show, you're likely a gun enthusiast like myself, or you just have nothing better to do this evening. And you just want to listen to my beautiful voice this evening. Isn't that great? So regardless of whether or not you're a gun enthusiast or just be listening, welcome this evening, and thanks for tuning in. Got all kinds of interesting gun-related articles and gun-related stories, gun-related topics to go over, discuss, break down, and analyze this evening. I've got a story I'm going to discuss later in the show about a gun that was carelessly left on a table, and a 3-year-old girl got a hold of it and shot herself in the head, and it killed her. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about that and about gun safety and how how gun owners need to be more cautious and more, the whole 9 yards. And I'm going to be getting into my views on gun safety as well. I've also got a couple of other different interesting articles here over there's a viral video going around now of a guy who was attacked by a moose and defended himself with a Glock. I'm going to be breaking that down a little bit because it's received a little bit of a controversy. And I want to talk just a tad about that, and then I've got some concealed carry permit news, tripling and doubling and all kinds of different stuff. So yeah, definitely all kinds of interesting stuff. Before I get into any of the articles though, I want to share with you an ammo story. This is more of an ammunition story than it is a gun story, guys, but so I just wanted to share this with you because this is something that kind of irks me a bit. And it's something that just, I don't know. So I'll break it down for you, and let's see, maybe you'll want to weigh in the comments. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to take calls on the show at this point in time. I've done it before, but I have problems with my Skype and stuff, so that doesn't allow me to take calls on the show, unfortunately. But maybe you can weigh in the comments section here on the UCY chat. But so I went into Walmart last week. I know that's the first strike against me right there. I try not to go into Walmart because obviously Walmart is the evil of all evils. But anyway, so I try to avoid Walmart as much as possible. But let's face it, it's a small Walmart. Of course, really, is there any such thing as a small Walmart? But we actually, I live out in the middle of nowhere, and the small town in my area, the Walmart there is probably one of the smaller Walmarts in the United States. I would say probably one of the smaller Walmarts in the United States. I mean, it's just a very, very small store. It's not like a big super Walmart or anything. Of course, it's still part of that evil chain. So the only time I really go in there is to look at the sporting goods department, because let's face it, Walmart gets in shipments of ammunition, during this drought. If we weren't in such an ammunition drought, I wouldn't even bother with Walmart. I would go to the local gun shop all the time. I usually do go to the local gun shop, but a lot of times I'll just walk into Walmart just to see what they have. A lot of times I don't even buy it. I'll just look and see, maybe occasionally I'll look into some .22 long rifle or something like that. So anyway, I walked back to the sporting goods department, and I was looking around, and let me just tell you how bad Walmart is, and how their sporting goods department is crap, and how you should never, I say this and I probably will, but I may never even go back to the sporting goods department there again, because I don't like to anyway, for the reasons I've already mentioned. But after this, it's ridiculous. So first of all, it's no big secret that Walmart is trying to hide ammo. And, there's been different people reporting on this and saying, some people even seem to think that, there's this big conspiracy or something, and they actually have a lot of ammo, in the Walmarts hidden back in the back of the store, in the storage, and they're hoarding it all and everything. There's these big theories about that, and I'm not going to get into that really because, obviously I've not seen that. I've not seen proof of that, so I don't know. It seems a little far-fetched, but then again, it very well could be. I would believe it, especially when I know how criminal Walmart is. But anyway, they do try to hide, the ammunition from people, at least at this Walmart. I have not had experiences at other Walmarts. But I have seen other people talking online and saying that they do the same thing at other Walmarts. So I would assume this is just a national thing where the Walmart executives or whatever, or the heads of the sporting goods departments or whatever, are actually telling the sporting goods departments to do this. I've walked in there before, and I've seen where they only had like 1 or 2 boxes of 45 ACP left, and they were actually hiding it. They were actually hiding it behind a piece of paper. They put a piece of paper over the glass. They scooted them back in there. Of course, I'm smart enough, to kneel down and look at the case and move the piece of paper and see if there's anything back there. So I found it. Their tricks didn't work on me, but to the average consumer, they're just going to look, they're going to assume nothing's there, and they're going to move on. They're not going to buy it. My theory is that the reason they do this is, possibly because, even some of the people who work there, want to save it for themselves. And if it hasn't sold by the end of the day or something, maybe there's a policy that, if you work there, you can't buy it until, the end of the day if nobody else has bought it. I don't know how it works there. That's just my theory on why they would be doing that. To keep it for themselves, the employees. But anyway, so here's the thing. I walk into Walmart the other day and I go back there, I look down and I see one little box of 50 rounds of 22 long rifle. It was CCI Blazers. Which isn't, it isn't fantastic ammunition, it isn't terrible ammunition, and it's just 50 rounds. Which normally I wouldn't even bother to get that low amount of 22 long rifle, and I wasn't really going to bother with it, but I was kneeling down looking, and I was kneeling down looking at it, and they had it on top of. They didn't even have it where it was supposed to be on the shelf, where it was labeled with the price, where you could easily see it. They had it kind of hidden on top of and in amongst the 22 shot shells, and so I was looking down. And, I saw it and I was looking at it for a moment, and finally the Walmart lady, who might I add was very rude. She's just a very rude person, but, she comes over there and she says, she asked if I'm looking for 22 long rifle because, she just assumes that's usually what people are looking for these days. And she noticed the direction I was looking, and she told me, she said, that's the shot shells right there. She said, that's just shot shells. And I told her, I said, no, I'm actually looking at that gray box there that's up on top of the shot shells. And she says, no, that's just shot shells. And no, I said, I'm looking at the gray box there on top of the shot shells. And so she kind of fumbles around for a minute. She gets the keys, opens the case, and gets inside, and then she points to an ammo can, this gray, almost OD green looking ammo can of like surplus 7.62 or something like that. I don't even remember what it was. I didn't really pay attention, but obviously it wasn't what I was pointing at. And she said, is this what you're talking about? And I said, no, I'm talking about the gray box. And at this point, I know she clearly knows it's there. She knows it's there. She's just trying to fool me. I mean, I know that. I can read people. I know what's going on here. So anyway, so she says, so she fumbles around for a little bit, and finally, she gets down there, and she looks reluctant to do it, but she pulls it out, and she says, "This is what you're talking about?" I said, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about." So again, at this point, I wouldn't have normally messed with buying that small amount of 22 long rifle, but at this point, I know how dirty Walmart is playing now, and so at this point, even if it had been $200, I was going to buy it just to show them that, yes, I'm going to buy this ammo, despite how much you don't want me to buy it. So anyway, we went through a little more, and I barely even got her to ring it up for me because she had to look up the price. She didn't know the price, and I had to talk her into doing that. But anyway, so I bought it, and it was like $2, and I got out, and it's only 50 rounds of ammo. But I had my pride, because I wasn't going to be played by these dirty Walmart people who apparently think who apparently think the average gun owner or the average, ammunition consumer is not smart enough to see when they're being played for a fool. So again, that's just my little Walmart ammo story. I don't like supporting Walmart anyway because 9 times out of 10, the people who work there in the sporting goods department don't know anything about sporting goods anyway. I mean, you're better off. Walmart, it's my experience that Walmart's prices are a lot cheaper when it comes to ammo than the local gun stores. Because the local gun stores can't afford to compete with some of that. We all know the stories with Walmart. It's just like that with everything. It's been my experience that the Walmart is a lot cheaper when it comes to ammo, but a lot of times I'll spend the extra money at the local dealer just because I know I'm dealing with good people and people who know what they're talking about. because 9 times out of 10, like I say, you know, the people who are working in the sporting goods department at a Walmart might as well be working in the electronics department or the canned food aisle, or, you know, restocking canned food. They might as well be doing any of that stuff because they don't know anything about sporting goods. They don't know anything about guns. They don't know anything about ammo. They don't know, you know, anything about any of it. So I don't know. So anyway, Walmart apparently just doesn't want to sell ammo to you. You have to basically force them to make a sale, which that gets me, you know? I mean, I'm coming into your business to, you know, which obviously Walmart's a big, huge, massive thing. They don't care. The employee doesn't care. It's not going to hurt them if I don't buy it. But still, I mean, a business who doesn't want to make a sale, I mean, that just baffles me. But anyway, that's my little story. That's my little rant about Walmart. And I don't like Walmart, and I don't like the Walmart sporting goods department. Sometimes I shamefully, you know, buy from there just because, there's no place else to get it. I mean, the other day I bought a new Glock. I bought a Glock Model 19. It was new, you know, 9mm. And, you know, the place I bought it at, didn't have any good, 9mm, you know, any decently priced good 9mm FMJs. And of course I needed a few FMJs to fire through my, new gun. So I had to go to Walmart and, give me some FMJs just so I could fire through my new gun, just so I could test it. But of course, I didn't enjoy it. I did it, but I didn't enjoy it. But anyway, so I don't know. You can believe what you want to believe about Walmart and about their ammo situation. Like I said, some people believe that they're actually hoarding it in the back. I don't know. I don't really want to weigh in on that because I'm kind of iffy on that situation because, you know, I wouldn't put it past them because obviously, you know, I already have enough proof that they don't want to sell ammo. I've had this experience, and then I've had experiences, like I said, with them hiding it behind a piece of paper or, things of that nature. And, you know, I've had people, you know, telling me that they have had similar experiences as well. So, you know, I don't know. I would believe it, but, I haven't seen proof, so I don't know if they are, don't know if they are or not. So anyway, moving on along now. I want to quickly touch on this snowmobile, thing that I was talking about, the snow. You may have seen this, this video going viral across the old internet for the past couple of days. Snowmobiler attacked by moose defends himself with a Glock. Here's a write-up about it, a short little write-up about it for the Libertarian Republic. And they posted a little video along with it. A video was circulating that shows a snowmobiler being attacked by a moose while riding through the woods. The snowmobiler attempts to scare the animal off, but the animal charges him, forcing the man to pull his Glock to defend himself. Luckily he had it. Sad to see the animal have to suffer, but it's times like these you're glad you have a tool for self-defense. Now this is what the writer for the Libertarian Republic said. Now, you know, I'm kind of indifferent about this because, you know, first of all, you watch the video and the guy is, I mean, he is kind of provoking the animal a little bit. You could definitely argue, that he is kind of provoking the animal a little bit. And I mean, he's coming at the moose on a snowmobile, and that's just, I don't know. So there's that, and then the moose does come up and attack, and people have said countless times, you know, you read it all the time, say if a moose attacks you, don't stand your ground. Because they are trying to get you out. If a moose attacks you, it's because the moose is trying to get you to leave the area. So don't stand your ground. Just leave. Just retreat. That's what people always say about moose attacks. So anyway, the moose attacks him and gets up on his snowmobile and stuff. And apparently, from what I was reading from an earlier article, his son was on there with him too. And so the guy pulls out his Glock. I'm not sure what model it was. I don't know, but he pulls it out. He fires several shots at the moose, and then the moose collapses. He didn't even kill the thing. He didn't even put it out of its misery, and that's why a lot of people are, being very, very critical of this. That's why a lot of people are kind of angry at this and don't like how he handled the situation. He didn't kill it. He just shot it, stopped it. It was laying down. It was, bleeding out there on the ground, and then he took off and left it. And so this goes into a whole slew of things here. I don't know. Obviously I'm all for self-defense, and I'm all for, whether it's against an animal or another human being or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm all for self-defense. If you have to defend yourself or your loved ones or your family or friends or whatever in a situation from an attacker, again, regardless of whether it's an animal or another person, if you're being attacked, then definitely defend yourself if you have to. But when you're provoking the animal, in the first place, and then when you have to, I don't know. He could have easily retreated. He had a perfect opportunity to retreat, and he just shot the animal, and then he posted it online, and then it goes viral, and a bunch of people are pissed. And I mean, what do you expect? Obviously you're going to expect people to be a little bit pissed off. So that's the situation. Again, I'm conflicted. Weigh in on it, and give your analysis of the whole situation in the comments, I guess. But I don't know. I'm a little conflicted on that one, because I'm not a big huge animal rights advocate. I don't get into that. I'm not a big animal person. I just don't, I don't engage with animals. I don't, have really any pets or anything. And, I understand. I completely respect people who do. And I respect animal rights groups and things like that. I don't know. It's not a big thing of mine, but I do understand why a lot of people would be angry about this. But I also understand his thing too. I mean, it is an adrenaline rush, I guess. If you have this big, huge animal coming at me, I don't know what I would do. If I had a big, huge animal coming at me and it attacks me and then it gets off, I guess maybe I probably would have shot too. I don't know. I think I would have at least put it out of its misery. I'm not going to leave it laying there bleeding out on the ground or anything. So anyway, there's the deal with that, and you can take away from that whatever you will. Okay, I want to get into some of this concealed carry news, and then I want to the last thing I want to touch on tonight is gun safety. I'm gonna spend a huge chunk of the show tonight talking about firearm safety and this whole story coming out of Florida, where a girl shot herself, a 3-year-old girl shot herself with a gun that was left on the table loaded with no safety. Now, I want to get into that in a little bit. But first, as I said, I want to get into some of this concealed carry news. Now, here's an article coming off of guns.com. Minnesota concealed carry permit applications double in 2013, nearly triple since 2009. Now, I was talking on last week's show about a similar report coming out of New Mexico, where they're saying the New Mexico concealed carry applications doubled in 2013. They also saw Kansas recently saw its numbers of carry conceal permit applications doubling. They saw them in Kansas as well. So yeah, I mean, all over. Last year was a huge year for concealed carry permits, for applying for concealed carry permits. So I mean, it is you can definitely see a trend here. A lot of people are waking up and realizing that guns aren't bad, and they're re-questioning all of this talk about gun control and, you know, we need to ban the guns. It's making people question things, and it's making people reconsider their beliefs, and people who never even considered having a firearm in their house for protection, you know, for self-defense, people who never even considered carrying one on their person, you know, for self-defense, or, you know, they're doing it. And they're going out and they're doing the necessary work they need to get a concealed carry permit, you know, regardless of what state they live in. You know, different states it's going to be different. I'm not sure what it entails here in Minnesota. And I mean, here in the article it says Minnesota issues permits through county sheriffs who charge a fee not to exceed $100 and conduct state and local background checks before issuing the 5-year license. All applicants have to complete a 3 to 4 hour training course that includes live fire and meets the guidelines of the Minnesota Personal Protection Act. So it sounds kind of similar to what we have here in Kentucky. We have sort of a lenient concealed carry system here in Kentucky. I mean, it's pretty easy to go through the proper procedures and get it. You know, of course, I'd like it if those procedures were, you know, less or, you know, eventually non-existent, because let's face the facts, folks. You know, we all know if you're going to illegally obtain a gun, you're going to illegally obtain a gun, and you're going to illegally concealed carry it. So what's the point of having these permits and things like that? It just messes the whole system up and makes it more difficult for, you know, actual law-abiding citizens who are going to use them for, you know, self-defense and protection. It makes it harder for those people to get them. But anyway, but it is good to see this trend. You know, it is good to see all of these different states coming out. You know, a lot of people are saying, you know, this was due to the mass shooting at the Sandy Hook Elementary School, and, you know, the tighter restrictions coming on guns, and, you know, the call for gun control. A lot of people think this surge is, you know, that's what's happening. And that's a lot of what people believe when it comes to the ammo surge too, you know, finding ammunition and being able to get it, at your local stores or wherever you shop for ammo at. You know, the ammo shortage, a lot of people are contributing this to, you know, the whole surge to that. So anyway, you know, it is a good thing to see people getting into this and realizing that guns aren't the problem. It's people that are the problem. It's bad people doing bad things, and it's a narrative for society. We need to be promoting a different narrative for society instead of trying to dictate certain behaviors and messing it up for people who actually follow the law. Now, that being said, with saying that we don't need all of these restrictions and all of these laws for when it comes to guns and everything, because they don't really work. That being said, you know, without the laws and, you know, without everything, all of that aside, gun owners need to be more responsible. Gun owners need to be more responsible, more aware of safety, and just overall, I mean, what else can I say? More responsible gun owners. We need more responsible gun owners. So that leads me into this next story that I was going to talk about. Gun that killed Lake Worth girl 3 left on table loaded with no safety. This article coming out of CBS 12 News in Florida. And this is a story that kind of gets to me, because I mean it is sad, you know, to see this happening. And based on what I'm reading here, you know, I don't think, you know, the father was not, you know, a bad guy. You know, just based on what I'm reading here, you know, I don't know him obviously, but just based on what I'm reading from the article, I don't think he was a bad guy. And I think he was just kind of careless, and he messed up. And now he's going to have to live with it, and he's going to regret it for the rest of his life because he didn't take those extra safety precautions that he should have to keep the guns away from his children. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to read to you some of the article. According to a PBSO report, Zuri Chambers shot herself between the eyes February 13th after finding her father's unsecured handgun inside her family's home in the 1000 block of North O Street. She was pronounced dead at Delray Medical Center. According to the report, Chambers told deputies that he was home alone with Zuri and his 7-month-old child when his employer texted asking if he could come home or asking if he could come to work. He agreed and took a shower, and as he was getting dressed, he heard a very loud pop. He ran out into the living room and found Zuri near the front door with a head wound. Chambers, who has a Florida concealed carry permit, told deputies he left his loaded Kel-Tec 9mm pistol on a table by the front door so he wouldn't forget it when he went to work at Go-Yo frozen yogurt. He told deputies that he takes a gun to work because he works a late shift and is concerned for his safety. The Kel-Tec has no safety, and Chambers told deputies that he thought the weapon's 10-pound trigger pull would be enough to keep his daughter from being able to fire it, according to the report. Chambers told deputies that Zuri had picked up the firearm several months ago when he had the gun on a laundry basket in his bedroom. He took it away from her and placed it on a shelf out of her reach. Now here's the deal. First of all, why doesn't the guy do that all the time? Why doesn't he place it on a shelf out of reach of the child all the time? That would make sense to me. But here I will read on a little more. Chambers' wife told detectives that she recalled an incident in which she woke up to Zuri pointing the gun at her. She said she yelled at Zuri and took the weapon away, and that Chambers was in bed next to her, according to the report. A deputy walking through the home found a fully loaded Beretta 9mm semi-auto pistol on a stereo amplifier next to a playpen in Chambers' bedroom. The deputy also found an unsecured, unloaded Mossberg 12-gauge pump shotgun inside his closet. Under Florida law, gun owners are required to keep their firearms secured in a locked box unless carrying it or keeping it close enough to easily use it. We see how well that law worked out. So here's the deal. First of all, obviously a lot of carelessness on behalf of both the parents in this situation, because if you're going to allow, obviously the man is the one who is the owner of these guns and who has the guns and uses them the most, based on what I'm getting from this article. But even at the wife, the wife still has some responsibility to, if she sees that her life, that her husband's life, and that her children's life are in danger. I mean, she obviously has a responsibility too to step up and say, no, let's put this gun away where these kids can't get to it. And, obviously this is a very, very, very messed up household, with regards to safety. Because it says the woman wakes up in the middle of the night and sees her 3-year-old daughter pointing a loaded gun at her. So that is, that's beyond my belief. If you're gonna have guns in the house, first of all, here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to say here. I never, ever have one in the chamber. I never put a round in the chamber when the gun is in my house. I don't do it. I never have racked a round into the chamber of any of my firearms when they are in the house. It's dangerous, it's too risky, and I refuse to do it. I refuse to do it. It's just, again, it's just a safety precaution. I'm not going to do it. So first of all, I would advise, I don't even do that on my 1911s. You know, I have a 1911 that has a thumb safety, cocked and locked 1911 is what most people like to call them, because you can load one in the chamber and lock it. But even on my 1911s, I don't do that. I especially wouldn't do it on something like a Kel-Tec or a Glock or Smith M&P or Springfield XD or anything like that that doesn't have a safety. That doesn't have a manual safety. I definitely wouldn't do it on any of those, and I don't do it anyway when I'm in the house because I just think it's too risky. So definitely, again, I do not believe in doing that. And of course, he had a round in the chamber apparently, and those Kel-Tecs actually have kind of a decent slide on them. Where it's I'm not going to say it's difficult to rack it back but for a 3-year-old girl, it would be very difficult to rack it back. So if he could have at least just had the magazine loaded, even with the magazine in the gun, and not had one in the, and not have one in the chamber. If he could have at least done that, that would have been at least a little bit better. But definitely, even at that, he shouldn't have had it loaded. He should not have had a loaded gun of any sort, or really any gun, even if it is unloaded, where a 3-year-old girl can walk up and just pick it up and walk around the house with it. So, no way, would I ever do that. Where a 3-year-old girl could, come up and pick it up. I mean, it just baffles me. Especially when I have that 3-year-old girl and my wife and myself and another 7-month-old baby in the house. And it says he had a Beretta 9mm loaded, fully loaded, so apparently one in the chamber, next to the playpen in the playroom in the kids' room. I mean, this is just a guy who is not very conscious of safety. If you're gonna have them loaded, put them away where the kids can't get to them. It's that simple. It's that simple. And, to follow up on what I was just saying a little bit ago, I do realize, Glocks do have, quote unquote safety, because of the trigger mechanism and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I do understand that. What I'm saying is, I don't do it. I don't load one in the chamber when I'm in the house in any gun, and I always have the magazines in a separate room or in a separate area from me when I am messing with my gun, because I do mess with them a lot, because I take them out and I'll clean them and I'll work with them, and I do dry fire a lot, especially on my Glocks, because dry firing is good practice for shooting. But so I do dry fire a lot, and that's why I refuse to have one in the chamber, because I mean, honestly, that little split second that you're going to gain by if an intruder comes in by having to rack one in the slide, that split second that you're going to gain, it's not worth it to have one in the chamber where I could mess up and have an accidental discharge in my house and hurt myself or one of my family members. It's not worth it, So so here's the deal. I definitely don't do that. And that's why. So you can take for that what you will. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. They say you should always have one in the chamber at all times because it makes no sense to not do that. But if you're like me and you're an enthusiast and if you have more than one gun and you actually use them for a hobby, if you have guns as a hobby and not just for self-protection, and if you're always messing with them and, taking them out and cleaning them or dry firing them or doing stuff like I am, if you're doing that, I think it's always good. It's always best to take as many safety precautions as you possibly can. And for me, that is doing that because I'm taking into consideration human error. I know I'm human, and I know that I'm not perfect, and that I know a mistake is so easy to make. And this area is something that you want to eliminate the possibility for mistakes as much as possible. Because a mistake with a firearm is a potentially dangerous and deadly situation. So anyway, this situation could have easily been avoided if the guy had just taken safety into account and had actually, used some common sense and not laid the gun down on the table where, the loaded gun down on the table where his 3-year-old girl could just walk up and get to it. And, so that's the deal. There are no young kids in my household, but if there were, I would treat guns much differently than I do. I'm already pretty cautious with them. If there were small children in the house that could easily get a hold of them and that don't know what they're doing, I would be 20, 30, 40 times more cautious with it, 100 times more cautious with it than I am now. You just have to be safe when it comes to firearms. And I am a big anal guy when it comes to firearm safety. I've had buddies over doing shooting and stuff, and I've had to tell people before to stop doing certain things that they're doing when they're over shooting, or you're out messing around, or we're messing with guns or whatever. I have to stop people from doing certain things because I am anal about this, and I think you have to be anal on certain things. There are certain things there's no exceptions. And you have to be cautious when it comes to guns. You have to be cautious when it comes to guns. And, so anyway, an investigation is going on now. In response to it. And, the Florida Department of Children and Families, is investigating it. They say the family has no prior history with the department. Last month, they're saying last month, the guy's brother was describing him as a responsible gun owner. And they said that they had been taught gun safety from a young age. But I'm wondering what gun safety they were taught from a young age, because the first rule of firearm safety, obviously, is that guns are always loaded. And now, obviously, there are certain things like that bug me about, I guess there is being too anal about it, because one thing that always bothers me is when I'm watching a YouTube video of a gun channel, where someone has a gun and they're, reviewing it, or they're, talking about it or something on YouTube. It always bugs me when they say, we're going to safety check it here. I'm going to show you here on the camera that it's, well, I don't care. I mean, buddy, that's your problem. That's your problem. I don't care. It's not going to offend me if you have a loaded gun there. I mean, that's your problem. Yeah, I mean, for your safety, you should make sure it's checked, but I don't care. Do it before the video comes on. You don't have to do that on me. That always bugs me. I mean, what do I care? I'm sitting here. Is the bullet going to come through the computer and hit me? No, I don't care. So anyway, that is, I mean, that just always bugs me. And then, there is the dry firing issue. As I was saying before, I do dry fire a lot because, it's good. It's recommended. A lot of, even a lot of gun manufacturers and things recommend that you do it, with their firearms, to get practice in, to be prepared for when you're actually shooting. And it does help to improve your shooting because it helps with your trigger control, the poundage on the different guns and, the breaking point and things like that. So it does help to dry fire. And I do that. And, so I guess that is sort of an exception to always treat a gun as if it's loaded, even though I don't, when I'm dry firing, I will point down at the floor or something. And, I will point down at the bottom of the wall or something, or I will point at a window. I still don't point. I don't just walk through the house, randomly flailing my gun everywhere and just pointing it every which way, pointing into people and stuff. I still, definitely don't do that. So I am still pretty cautious even when I'm dry firing and messing with them like that. So again, that's my analysis of the whole situation. I think all gun owners need to be a little more responsible and a little more safety conscious. And, this whole situation where unfortunately this kid got killed. And again, it's a sad thing to talk about. A 3-year-old girl shooting herself in the head. I mean, it's tragic and it's terrible to talk about it. And it kind of, I don't like to talk about it really. I don't really want to talk about it, but it is very important because it's an example. Always make sure if you check your weapon to make sure it's unloaded, check it again. And if you checked it twice, check it 3 times. Drop the mag. Pull the slide back. Make sure there's no round in there. And if you know it is loaded, if you're not just checking it, just make sure it's unloaded. If you know it's loaded and you have it loaded because you're getting ready to leave the house with it or because you have it loaded in the house, I keep 2 guns loaded in the house at all times. I'll keep a pair. I'll keep a big, a full-size firearm, loaded up on the headboard for home defense, and I'll leave a compact to pair with it, loaded up so it's ready to go to take with me. Again, I don't keep one in the chamber, but that's my system. Like right now, I have my Glock 21 loaded up on the headboard, and I have my Glock 30 loaded up on the nightstand, ready to go, when I go out somewhere to throw in the glove box. But anyway, if you know it's loaded, make sure you keep it away from anyone who shouldn't be touching it. And a 3-year-old girl should not be anywhere near that loaded gun. At all. I mean, there should be no question about this. A loaded gun, or really a gun of any sort, should be kept away from the reach of a 3-year-old girl at all times. At all times. If you wouldn't let your 3-year-old girl walk across the street, don't let your 3-year-old girl anywhere near a loaded firearm. I can't stress that enough. An adult, or even teenagers and stuff. I mean, I started learning about guns and using guns and firing guns when I was young. But, my dad would take me out and we would talk about firearm safety and we would go out and we would shoot and we would do that. But, people who are experienced with them and ready for them and responsible with them know how to use them. They know how to work them. They know how to be safe with them. They know when to fire, when not to fire, and they know what they are. A kid, a 3-year-old, just like an adult, knows to look both ways before crossing the street, Just like an adult knows, if there's a van coming, I don't need to run out in front of it because I'll get hit. A kid doesn't know those things, just like a kid doesn't know when I pick up this thing here that's sitting on this table, this pretty looking thing here on the table, and I squeeze this little thing, it's going to go off and it's going to hurt somebody. They don't know that. So, absolutely, just be more responsible. So then, they can't exploit gun owners like this and say, gun owners don't care about anything. Because I'm a gun owner and I do care. I care about safety. I care about, people getting hurt. And I am very cautious with my firearms. So this is absolutely a terrible, terrible story. And it's sad that it happened. It's sad that it has to be reported on. It's sad that a lot of people are going to look at this and label all gun owners with this. And that's another thing. A lot of gun owners, you don't see a lot of good stories about guns. I try to point out the good stories about guns on this, show too. When someone uses a gun for a good purpose, to stop a mugger, to stop a robber or something, to avoid a potentially bad situation or anything like that. I always like to point those out, but I had to talk about this one because it's important. As gun owners, we all have to be very conscious of safety. Firearm safety is not something to take lightly. And you can't just say, well, I'm just not going to make any mistakes. I'm not going to make any mistakes because folks, you're a human being. I'm a human being. You're a human being. We're all human beings. We're not perfect. As much as we would like to think we are a lot of times. And I know I'm not just saying you, out there listening. I'm saying, me too. As much as we would all like to think sometimes that we're perfect and that we are smart enough to not make mistakes, that's why they call them mistakes, folks. They happen. They're accidents. They're mistakes. So take every damn precaution you possibly can to make sure a mistake doesn't happen. Don't just say that you're going to be smart and you're going to be above everybody else and that your crap doesn't stink and that you're going to not make any mistakes. Because we make mistakes, folks. We're human beings. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is. So, anyway, we are running quickly out of time here on the show. Only got a couple minutes left here, a little bit before my bumper music starts playing. I want to thank all of you for tuning into the show this evening. I really appreciate it. All of my listeners, all of my supporters, for following me in everything that I do. I appreciate all my supporters in my writing and in my, in this show and everything that I do. I couldn't do it without you, and I appreciate it. Trying to develop my career as a writer and doing all this stuff. And again, definitely couldn't do it without all of the great support that I get from so many people sharing my articles, liking my stuff, following my social media and all that stuff. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/LibertyBattles and also on Twitter at ALN845 and at Liberty Battles. Don't forget to tune in on Friday for the Friday show, which is going to be more of a political, wider scale news show. And then, of course, back again next Monday for the Gun Talk show. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Thanks for listening, and God bless.